still a good signal here. A little bit of QSB, I notice. 40 is starting to really stabilize, which is great. I love the idea of kind of a good, dependable daytime AM band. Because I really, I don't quite have enough power to contend with all the QRM and whatnot at night, and get over the static and the atmospheric noise and stuff. So afternoons are great, and also 15 meters I think is opening up. I don't know if you work any of the higher bands on AM, but I hear lately 15 has been open, and let's see, about a week ago I made a quick contact on 15 to a fella near Dallas, W1GFH, and he was on for quite a while, working with a lot of people here in the Northeast. So what do you know? WA3VJB, W1GFH.
I really ought to be on 15 because I've got a homebrew transmitter that works on 15 and 10 really well. I have 810s modulating a pair of 4400s. So it's significant power, and I could drive a dipole with it and still be heard. Just haven't put it together yet. W1GFH, WA3VJB making a transmission. Good one, Joe. Good one. You're holding up nicely. Meant to comment on your MXL there before I forget. I knew that they made a nice condenser microphone. I was not aware that they also made dynamics, and the response of yours sounds smooth. It sounds flat, like you indicated. It almost, I'm going to suggest that it needs some compression, because your signal is good enough that if you were louder, it would be even more dominant. The signal-to-noise ratio, and I'm trying to express it in such a way that is not negative. It just sounds like you're running everything uncompressed, and your voice peaks are what determines where you've got your volume control, and so the average modulation level is pretty low. And that's a shame, because you've got really good audio. Listening both on the ITT McKay at about 12 kc and also one of the SDRs in the other room at about the same bandwidth, although there is some congestion on the low side of us. I think I've got it tilted to the high side. It's very evenly distributed, no holes or exaggerations in the response, but it just doesn't have the loudness to it that I would expect with a transmitter that's that clean. So if you have any means of processing to kick that up a little bit, that's the only adjustment I think I'd make, not knowing what you sound like in person. But the energy level does seem to be a little bit low. And yeah, that makes sense that the LSD, Lexicon Service Depot, would be the indicator. Yeah, it does. I wonder if Toby Hanna might have been TBY. I'm trying to remember what that tag said, but they all had their designators, I'm sure. And yeah, that was a fascinating system that they had, where the radios were so modular that they could just swap them in and out. I don't know if the BC779 is that way or not. I think that's a component level, discrete component level receiver, where they'd actually have to troubleshoot the entire receiver instead of swapping a module in and out. I don't think that has the various modular connectors and cable umbilicus to allow them to do that. But nonetheless, if that's already been recapped, gee, back in the 1950s, then you're in good shape. I have an old sports car we might have talked about. It's a 1969 Datsun convertible, and I had taken it to the service shop for a gear oil leak out of the gearbox. And I said, why won't these seals last more than 50 years? And I said it seriously. And the guy knows me, and he knew I was busting him. I said it in a serious tone, but he knew I was messing with him. So he took a look, and it wasn't that low. He said, it's just dripping enough to make a smell and a mess on your driveway. So come back when the season's over, and we'll get it fixed. So it kind of reminds me of the capacitors that were replaced back in the 1950s. Oh, yeah, they should be fine. They should be fine. I've got I think it's a bias supply capacitor in the home brew rig that is leaky. I can see it physically, that the electrolytic ooze is coming out of the paper case, between the metal disc of the end and the paper housing. It's sneaking out from that little curled under seam. So I got to replace that before I light it up because it's going to blow up otherwise. It wasn't that way on the last, two sunspot cycles ago. This should have held up. It worked really well on cycle 23. I had it up on 10 meters for a long time and made a significant number of acquaintances up there. And here it is, cycle 25, and this capacitor goes bad. Hey, man, I want my money back. Actually, the guy who built this in 1953 had passed away in 1976 or so, never having completed the transmitter. And with the help of some of the guys on 75, I was able to finish it in over Christmas break, 76 into 77, and it's been on the air ever since. So I guess it's due for a little maintenance, Joe. It's probably time. Anyway, that's my readout on your microphone that I neglected to give you the last time round. W1GFH, WA3VJB.
Yeah, okay, Paul. Well, let's see. No compressor here, so kind of out of luck on that. I have a volume control. I had it on the lower setting because, when doing tests and listening on the local receiver, it sounded a bit overdriven. But, so, let's see. What is it? Basically, we have one of those, what's it called now? Xenix 802 mixers, which is the company that I think Behringer owns, or that's their new moniker or something. And dynamic goes into channel 1. So we're giving it a little bit more volume. Or alternately, we could go with the old setting. Let me see. Okay, we could go with the old setting and close top a little bit. So does that help at all?
You caught me in the other room there. I was listening as a B comparison. It is louder. I think I can hear the little bit of grunge that starts to come in that you're probably hearing in your local monitor. And although I can't specify which of your two settings was the better one, there was a happy medium between the two ranges that you selected.
Well, this is the happy medium. Yeah, compression is wonderful if if you have it. We do not have it here, and really kind of don't want it. Kind of like the natural sound, but do want to have a good high average. So maybe some remedy. But, yeah, I mean, that's my method, is to kind of go on one of the web SDRs, K3FEF or something, and see what I can hear, if it sounds grungy, back it down, that sort of thing. Test on the local receiver. Got to get me an oscilloscope. I had one when I was on the West Coast, and, I had a lot of test equipment and stuff. Could not bring it with me, but maybe Festival, which is coming up on October 15th.